about death. It's all about pain. It's all about destruction and the things you do in vain.
Live from the Alex Duffy Studios in sunny Santa Monica, California, it's the Alex Duffy Show, starring Alex Duffy, with this week's special guest, number 99, Rob Brackenridge. And now, a man who can barely count as high as 99, Alex Duffy!
Life, it's all about you, it's all about me. We're all that we have, and all we foresee. So give it your best shot, it's all that you got. Might not be a lot, but that's all there is to life.
All there is to life.
Yeah. Do you want to improvise or no?
Oh, or no, for sure.
Okay, let's go for it. Let's give him the camera. Now give him the full camera, and you're going to make up a song on the spot.
All right.
I'll give you a nice heavy metal riff.
It's the Alex Duffy Show. Here in LA there is no snow. You got Alex on the guitar playing. I'm just sitting here braying. Here I go. That's as good as I can do.
All right. Well, thank you. That was great.
Sure. I'm just honored to be number 99.
Yes, the last of the double digits.
Yep.
My God. My God.
Crazy.
What a long, strange trip it's been.
Yep. And, in 10 years from now, I'll be saying, yep, I was on them when they were in double digits.
I know.
I'm so honored.
10 years from now. Wow.
Would it be
I
10
haven't
years?
killed you yet by then.
Yeah, I probably be dead by then. No, I'm just kidding. I have a rather sedate lifestyle now that I'm married.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That'll do it to you.
It brings you down to earth.
Does it?
Brings you down to earth, yeah.
I've heard other things say. It's an interesting concept, being with one person the rest of your life.
I know. Looking into someone's eyes and saying, you're the last person, you're the last woman I'm ever going to have.
Ooh.
Ah.
That you'll know about.
Exactly.
I think that's the way it goes.
Exactly.
Because I'm from Wisconsin. If you marry just because you want a warm body,
Right.
to get through the winter.
Someone doesn't have too cold of feet, too. I see.
Yeah.
We have to jump in right now and quickly introduce the show.
Okay.
Just right away. So, it is November 18th, 2003. I am Alex Duffy and Steve Lyon
The
is.
show.
And we have all kinds of wonderful, interesting things in the news, but the most interesting thing is that Bush is meeting Blair in London.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
Was it something like 13,000 cops they have in London?
Yeah, I read about
keep
that.
track of people.
Yeah, it's like the most security they've
There's
ever
something
had.
wrong if they need that many cops.
I know.
I mean, what does that tell you?
But the newspapers have been changing the polls. Now they're showing that the Brits support the war in Iraq and all that kind of stuff.
Stats.
It is. Our guest was saying it's 1984 already.
Yep.
You can't trust the papers. They're all in collusion.
Yep.
All right. Well, we will introduce our guest because we want to get right back into it. We just did the introduction on our tradition. This man has been making a living out of comedy since 1989. Yes, he has traveled to 10 countries in almost all 50 states. Yes, and he's very, very funny. And he's going to show you how it's done, how comedy is done. It is the one, the only, Rob Brackenridge! Yay! Oh, yes. Well, so glad to have you on the show. They got a sneak peek of you, though, before.
Did they?
I mean, just now, like when the show's starting out.
That's right,
Yeah.
but that really wasn't me.
Okay.
I was doing a character.
That was the guy from the White House.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Ari Fleischer I was doing.
Yeah.
Helen? How's that? Helen? Ralph?
That's good, actually.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's really good. What are you going to do? He's resigned.
Resigned now. There's another guy, and the other guy doesn't look a thing like me. And you know how much plastic surgery that's going to take?
You have to have just a mask. Like in the movies where they can put these masks on and put them in front of the person.
Yeah. Well, people think I'm Ari Fleischer. I mean, I could... Maybe this is what he's doing now for a living. I'll just tell people that I'm Ari Fleischer. I'll go on the road,
That would be fun. You should go on stage and people say, now introducing Ari Fleischer, and you go on stage and you pretend you're here for 5 minutes, and people will go, wow, that's really cool.
In LA, though, nobody would know who the hell you're talking about.
That's right. Well, they never did anyway. I used to do a bit about that, how, like, in Wisconsin, I'm considered to be a hottie.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
And people laugh,
It's
you
'cause
know.
you're not 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Beer
But then
gut
yeah.
spilling over the belt.
Exactly. I'm like svelte. You know, they go, wow, that guy can actually fit through a doorway. That's a keeper.
Hell yeah.
Well, where in Wisconsin were you born and raised?
I was born in Appleton, Wisconsin.
Well, that sounds so wholesome.
Oh, it is. And, you know, it's
Appleton.
like apple pie, Appleton, Wisconsin. It's right by Green Bay for crazy sakes.
Wow.
I go to games, too, because my buddy's grandpa died. So
Oh,
I get to
wow.
go to games now. That's the only way you can get it.
Right. Yeah.
For crazy sakes. Every time I go back there, I get the accent again, you know, for the love of Mike. Ain't it? And it's colder now. It gets to be 50 degrees below zero there.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
Is
you
there
know?
any difference between the people from Wisconsin and the people from North Dakota?
Yes, there's a huge difference because, you know, the Minnesota, North Dakota accent, that's like from Fargo. Remember the...
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you betcha, yeah.
So can you be more specific? Remember that, you know? So
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
with the
yeah.
funny looking one.
Right,
You know?
right.
See, now that's like it comes from Sweden. You can follow the progression. The guy comes over from Sweden. He's in Sweden going, Hershey, Fergie, Poppin', Purty, right?
Right,
Actually, I
right,
just
right.
swore.
Okay.
That got over the ear. But then he comes to America, learns English. That turns into, oh, yeah, sure, the crappie are biting on Lake Okoboji, right?
Yeah.
Now, the Wisconsin comes from Germany, right?
Right.
The guys in Germany going, ja, Menschenskind, jetzt hör mal auf mit deiner Quatsch und so weiter, right?
Scheiße.
Ja, Menschenskind. Now, that turns into, oh, crazy, yeah, the other day I was out there by Fleet Farm with my nephews, the both of them side by each for crazy sakes. And them little fuckers is getting big, too.
Wow.
See, that's actually a word that you can use in Wisconsin, and you can't really use anywhere else. It's not a bad word. Fucker.
Right.
See, because you say it with a Wisconsin accent, you know, it's just like, oh, you
can sneak it in there.
fucker. Look at you, hey, for crazy sakes.
Well, you weren't just like out in the middle of nowhere in rural Wisconsin. You grew up in a very educated home.
Yes.
And your dad was a Newtonian astrophysicist.
Yes,
And
he
your
is.
mom is a feminist classics professor.
Professor, yes.
Wow.
It's a good
I
mix.
was raised. That was my upbringing, my environment. You know, my dad is like, you know, he was a highly intellectual egghead kind of guy, the kind of guy that says "as it were" after every sentence. You know, so and
Very Carl Sagan-ish kind of?
Sure.
Yeah.
And I would, you know, try to tell him jokes like when I'm growing up. He didn't really understand half the stuff I was doing. I go, well, hey, Dad, why did the tomato turn red? He goes, yeah, it's a photosynthetic process, as it were. And I can't imagine my dad like as a little kid. I don't think he was ever dumb. I think he was just one of those highly intellectual little kids, you know. He'd go up to his friend's house, he'd go, excuse me, Mrs. Schickenjansky. Wisconsin name.
Yes.
But is this an opportunistic moment for young William to perambulate in the field of exercise with the other adolescents? As it were. She goes, Billy, get your ass down here. The smart kid's here again.
Well, why did your dad specialize in Newtonian astrophysics versus Einsteinian astrophysics?
Well, he went over to England, where our president is right now. He went over to London, and he learned. He was actually in the area where Sir Isaac Newton actually stood and worked and stuff. And he can actually go and access some of the papers that Sir Isaac Newton worked on and stuff.
Wow.
So he actually, you know, got the immediacy of history. And he wanted to bring that spark that he felt to public. So he actually has a book out now called The Key to Newton's Dynamics. And it actually brings the Principia into layman's terms, as it were. I'm very
Principia
proud.
Mathematica.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And he loves coming to my comedy shows, but he never laughs, really. There was one joke that he wanted me to do all the time. It's like Descartes was in a restaurant,
Right.
and they asked if he wanted wine with his dinner, and he said, no, I don't think, and then he disappeared. Dad's like, close with that. It will kill, as it were.
Well, now, didn't Einstein prove that space and time are not absolute, whereas Newtonian physics holds that they are? Didn't that make your dad go, forget Newton. I'll go with Einstein.
What you're telling me, I'm sure it's true, but I'm not my dad. I know Dad and I would have these conversations, and he'd be talking, and I'd just kind of, I'd look off into the distance, wait till he said "as it were," because I knew that's when the sentence is over.
That's the period.
And then I'd go, "Hey, I wrote a new dick joke. Want to hear?"
Well, what kind of view of the universe did you walk away with from your dad? Like a mechanistic universe, or one with God, or one with
that's the whole thing.
randomness,
Dad, see, having a dad that's that into the reality of life, I didn't get what normal little kids have: the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, the guy with the beard that tells whether you're naughty or nice. Who is that?
Oh, I think it's Santa Claus.
No, the one that wears the sandals.
Oh,
God, yeah, yeah. A lot of people, get mad when I do that, I do believe in a higher power. I just don't believe he wears Birkenstocks.
Yeah, not so much.
But yeah, so Dad, we never really went to church, or we went to church camp. Yeah, we had.
How'd that happen?
I think they just wanted to have sex during the summer. So
Church camp.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to go to actually Gregorian chant camp, because they didn't have the Catholic available.
Wow. Did you chant?
Yeah, I still remember sitting on the bus singing, "1,000 bottles of beer on the wall." It took forever.
Oh, yeah.
I won't even do Kumbaya for you, because this is a half-hour show.
Well, do you believe that you have a soul?
I do have a soul.
You have a soul. Is it when you die?
Two, actually.
Do you believe that in heaven and hell, when you die,
No.
you're in one of those two places?
I think it's pretty much all just heaven. Well, I think your soul probably goes up. They say if the tree falls in the middle of the forest and no one's there, does it make a sound, right? I think it does.
Of course it does.
Well, it makes a sound, but it doesn't. And it doesn't make a sound because a sound, by pure definition, is a perceived wave. If you say no one's there, how can it be perceived? It's a wave that just goes off.
Right.
And where that ends, that's where all the souls are. So they're all listening to a bunch of trees fall.
That's very philosophical. Very philosophical.
I come up with them once in a while.
Did all these heavy doses of philosophy just drive you into being the class clown at school?
I don't think that's what did it. I think it was pure boredom growing up in Wisconsin. There's not much else to do.
Until you're of age, and then...
Right.
Yeah.
That's why we're all extremely good lovers. We had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
We can shoot a deer and screw it at the same time.
So as class clown, you mentioned you spent a lot of time in the principal's office?
Yes.
Did you ever play a particularly funny prank that you can remember?
In the principal's office, I would just imitate them all the time, Because, the Wisconsin accent I told you about, it's like, "Oh, crazy eye for great," And our principal was one of those guys. His name is Todd Stammer,
Right.
Mr. Stammer.
Wow.
How could you not make fun of that guy? Come on. But he talked like he's holding in a hit of pot, And this guy would much rather be out there walleye fishing and teaching them kids, for crazy. He had that huge beer gut, and his fingers look like bratwursts, You shake his hand, you get hungry. And he talked like he's holding in a pot. He's like, "Yeah, you've been pretty bad in the math class there." Bill Clinton never inhaled. I don't think Mr. Stammer ever exhaled.
Nice.
Well, where did you go to school after grade school to get your BA?
I went to Lawrence University, and
So you still were in Wisconsin?
yeah. Well, my schooling, my dad taught. Lawrence University had little branches all over the world. So I grew up in Germany and in England.
Okay. So kind of like UCLA or whatever. It's different. I get it.
Right.
Okay.
So he was like, and then what they would do is they'd rent out a hotel room in different countries,
Right.
and then we'd go over there. And so I was just like the kid that just kind of tagged along. So every time I come back to Wisconsin, I'd be a little bit more worldly, and all my friends are still, "Grace, where were you last year, for Gray's sakes?" And I go, "You're turning into Mr. Stammer." And they did.
Well, but you got your BA in theater. Was your dad happy? Was your mom happy about that?
At first, no. At first, they were kind of like, we're going to have to carry this kid on our back for the rest of our lives.
Marketable skills.
I told you, Marianne. I told you. Didn't I tell you? Don't let him take those ballet classes. This is what it's leading to. But then my dad came with me once, and I was doing a casino in Red Wing, Minnesota.
Oh, cool town.
I was opening for Bill Engvall.
He wasn't from Minnesota, was he?
No, for
No,
crazy
no.
sakes. He's got the southern thing. That's the beauty of comedy, though. You can bring the Southern thing up to Wisconsin, and I found that you can bring the Wisconsin thing all over the world. People get into the for Christ's sakes, yeah, you betcha, you know.
Right.
The sure,
Down
yeah.
homey, yeah.
But I was opening for Bill Engvall, and my dad came to the show because I was making $800 to do a 10-minute set. And he goes,
Wow.
I can't believe you're making $800 for a 10-minute set. I have to see this. So he came to the show, and I was doing my whole dad bit, you know, as it were. And I have the whole crowd show, as it were, you know, after every sentence. And so I get off the stage, and the MC comes on. He goes, I've seen a lot of comedians make fun of their dad, but never when their dad is there in the audience. And they swung the light around, and Dad stood up and waved at everyone. You know, and then Bill Engvall gets up, you know, they introduced him, and he goes, my dad's also in the audience, and they swung the light back to my dad, and he stood up. So afterwards, we're walking around the casino, and everyone's going, Professor, hey, say as it were, you know, and he was more popular than me. And then he realized why I was doing it, and ever since then, he's just like, you do it, you know.
Right.
That's cool.
Well, $800 for 10 minutes is also pretty nice.
I know.
And doing what you love. You know,
Yeah, it's wonderful.
you can't get better than that. Well, before you did go into stand-up, though, you did do an improv group.
Yes.
Now, how did you make the transition from theater to improv to stand-up?
That's actually a pretty natural transition. I answered an ad in the paper, you know, and it's an improv troupe that wanted another person to fill in. So I started doing that, and then we started, and when you're doing improv, you get suggestions from the audience, so you really have to kind of play right off the cuff. And that you need a lot of that for stand-up, too. We started opening for stand-up comedians and stuff, and I saw what they were doing.
What was the name of your troupe, by the way?
Belly Laughs.
Ah, okay, that's very fun. So.
Yeah, it was Scott Hansen's Belly Laughs, you know, and we were like in the basement of this Chinese restaurant, and it was very interesting, you know. It was like I was with them for like, I guess 2 years.
Right.
And when you're with the same troupe for 2 years, the improv does not, it kind of turns into set pieces that you know what works and stuff like that.
Right.
And we started getting bored with it and infighting and stuff. And I saw how much the comedians were making as compared to how much we were making, splitting up the money. So I worked up my 10-minute set, and I got booked like the next week. Some guy told me, he said, hey, Brackenridge, you got a half hour, don't you? And I went, sure, oh yeah. Yeah. He goes, well, you get $200 if you drive over to Michigan, and it was Upper Michigan, Escanaba, Michigan, and it was a strip club called Little Orphan Annie's.
Oh.
And I just had to write out a half-an-hour set, and I wrote it out while in my car driving over there. And then I just put the notebook down on the stool, you know, and I put my drink over there. So I'd do the bit, and then I'd go over and I'd do the next bit. They loved it, and I was hooked.
But 1989 was an important year. It was your breakthrough year.
This is your life.
Yes.
1989.
This is your career.
Because that was the year that you actually started making a living out of it.
Yes.
And you haven't looked back for 14 years.
That's true.
That's cool.
Yeah, I always said to myself, if I ever get in debt or if it's ever not working, you know, I have to borrow money or something, then I'm in the wrong business. And I never have had to.
Now, why did you relocate to LA in '92?
You know, that's a good question. Everyone was, relocating. First I moved to Minneapolis for 5 years and did my stand-up there.
Right.
So it was Wisconsin, Minneapolis was my decompression city.
Right.
And then I moved to Los Angeles. I was actually just doing gigs in Oregon and stuff, and I stopped through to see some friends of mine in LA, and I met a few people that were, you know, up-and-coming comedians. One of them, Drew Carey.
Right.
And he said, oh, there's an apartment open in my building. So I went over to look at it. It was affordable. I took it, and I lived there for like 5 years. And
wow.
And I've been living here ever since. Because you have to pay rent somewhere, and it might as well be 75 and sunny every time you fly home to do your laundry and check your mail.
Yes.
You know?
Hell yeah.
But the thing is, you can't really make money doing comedy in LA. You have to go out. You can make more money in Oregon than you can in LA.
Right.
You know, which is something most people wouldn't think.
Yes.
It's because of the concentration of comics here.
Right. Everyone wants the stage time. And stage time does not, it ends up not being a way to make money. It's a way to write new bits, you know.
Right.
So you're almost paying. You end up paying to do stage time out here.
How long did you and Drew Carey live in the same building?
5 years, I think.
Both of you?
Yeah, from 91, and he moved out I moved out before he did in 95, I think.
Was he always on the road? You didn't see him that much? Or?
No, he was just hitting it pretty big at that point, so I didn't see it. We'd watch Monday Night Football every once in a while, but he was working the big clubs and stuff, and I was still doing little one-nighters and things like that, you know.
Right. Were there other comedians living in that building, or just you?
Yeah. There was about, I think, 4 or 5 of us and we'd all get together and have spaghetti dinners and stuff on Sundays if we were all in town at the same time. But Drew was like just he took off. He had really good management, still does. Rick Messina, you know.
Right, Messina Baker, yeah.
And they got him where, I mean, that's the key to comedy is good management, you know.
Well, you've got a great manager.
I have an excellent manager now, yeah. But for years I had no management, and that's kind of why I was thinking I could do it on my own. But when you tell someone you're funny, it's different than someone else says this guy's funny.
Right,
know?
right.
Absolutely.
Now, with all the touring you've done, the places you've been, the things you've seen, how's it affected your political viewpoint? Would you call yourself a Democrat or Republican?
I'd say Democrat, yeah.
I mean, because from what you've seen in the world, you know, how does it affect just the touring? How does it affect your worldview?
I think it makes me see really. A lot of times we're very egocentric, and we're a very jingoistic country. You know, we think that we're the greatest people in the whole world.
Oh, we are.
Well, yeah. Then you travel. Well, you travel overseas, and you realize, yes, we are. But we shouldn't be cocky about it, and we are cocky.
I'm saying that
too.
half jokingly because you know every culture has something to offer. I'm not saying that as a sweetened, you know, sugar-coated thing.
Yeah, but they do. I mean, when I travel, it just makes me realize how great I have it in this country. I can make a living just by writing, you know, material and performing it. And I don't think you can do that in other countries. You know.
Why are you Democrat versus Republican if you had to make a choice?
I think basically for the liberal views that the Democrats have, and it just seems to me that would be a more less proletariat, less you know, what do you call it? With the rich, when the rich have everything and the poor have nothing. Yeah, the aristocracy. It seems like the Democratic is more blue collar.
Right.
And I think that should be the voting people. The people that make decisions should be the people that are the blue collar.
I think that the thing with the Republicans is they want to squeeze and make the middle class smaller.
Yes, so they can make more money on the high end.
Exactly,
right?
And then the Democrats, they want to make the middle class wider, which means more taxes and stuff, but I don't know. If you have to choose between Sweden or Bolivia, I'm going to go with Sweden.
Right. I'm not very political. I don't, like, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, I thought, oh, that's great, we're going to have this wacky character for a governor. That's the only reason why I thought it would be great to have him. Yeah, he's like, yeah, you know, and he's in trouble now for squeezing a few boobs in the 70s, you know? And come on,
in the
who
80s
didn't?
And the 90s?
Yeah, well, who didn't? Back then, you know, there was no AIDS. If you didn't squeeze boobs, you were gay. But now he's in trouble just by the
thing.
Yeah, now he's in trouble with, like, his accent gets him in trouble. The way he says the word focus. He's like, yeah, these women are mad at me for squeezing a few boobs, but these women have to learn to focus on the right issues. Yeah, no, I'm serious here. If these women could only just learn to focus, we would all be filled with a penis.
That's good. That's really good.
The accent can get you in trouble.
Well, speaking of women, what were the hotties like in Saudi Arabia?
Oh, let me tell you. They had some nice eyebrows. I saw one once.
Yeah.
I saw an eyebrow and a little bit of an eyelash.
Did you have any contact with the women at all when you were in Saudi Arabia? Could you even see them, or did they just fly you in and fly you out?
They flew us in, but we did have contact with the people. And the women would wear these veils covered from head to toe in black. They looked like little Darth Vaders walking around, you know. Luke, I'm your mother. Yeah, they even breathed like that. I think that's why those guys get to marry up to 5 women, though.
Right.
They don't know what they're getting.
Yeah.
It's like
You're
buying that
playing the odds.
Yeah, it's the mystery tourist gift, you know. Ah, my darling, you have such beautiful eyes, and you're. I think I'll go for door number 2. You can cook, can't you?
You know, there might be some truth to that. You know?
Yeah.
How did it all come about? Well, what about these USO tours that you've done?
Yeah.
And they're called the Miller Lite
Light Laughs tour. Yeah.
Okay, and it's through the U.S. Army and Miller Lite together?
Actually, it's all Miller Lite.
Okay.
And so they actually have a bigger budget than the USO tours, you know.
Okay.
And I've talked to some guys that have done the USO tours, and those guys, God bless them, they have to stay on cots, you know, Army cots, and they get flown on military shows, military planes and stuff, and that's a tough way to do it. With the Miller, they put us up in nice hotels, and once in a while we run into the USO guys, and they're like, Hey, how did you get that gig?
Room
Can you
service.
take us with you?
What states haven't you done? What U.S. states haven't you done stand-up?
I've done them all, I think. The southern one, like Mississippi. Oh, I did Gulfport, Mississippi. I think I've done almost all the states. Tennessee probably is the only one I can't think of.
Tennessee?
I haven't booked it
It's
yet.
not a comedy-friendly place?
For me, I'm not really. I don't have a lot of what I call shiny objects, you know. And I think you need a lot of those for those. A lot of the times they've had a few too many moonshines. Am I making a blanket statement here? I don't know. It's just from my experience in the southern states. You need to be a little bit more. Hi, how are you? Kind of comedian. And I'm
The
not.
lowest common denominator.
Yeah, I know. You have to go before every joke. You go, here comes the next one. Okay.
Well, let me ask you this: what is the scariest gig you ever played? I'm talking about like rural somewhere, whatever you did. You're just like, oh, you're just even driving, and you're just like, this isn't going to go well, and you just have this feeling of foreboding.
Yeah, that was a strip club in Brandon, Manitoba.
Really?
Manitoba,
Wow.
Yes.
as opposed to Massachusetts.
No, this is Manitoba. This
Canada.
is friendly Manitoba, Canada. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
Okay, how did that happen? How did you get that?
How did I get it?
How did it go?
I was working for Yuck Yucks, the world's largest chain of comedy clubs.
Right.
And they have their weekend gigs, you know, would be a Wednesday through Saturday. But then the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they would, for you to make a little extra money, they would put you at these one-nighters. And I had to do a one-nighter in Brandon, Manitoba, and it was a strip club, and I don't think they filter their strippers all that well. You have a vagina? You're hired, you know? Because that's really more pleasant to look at. So I was doing my show and just trying to get through. It's like one of those gigs where you look at your watch and the second hand's going backwards. You have to do what I call a wedding set. Something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue, you know? So I'm going through my material, and there's all of a sudden I hear, and I was doing this joke about handicap parking symbols on the blacktop. I used to believe those were actually police markings for a murder victim.
Right.
And you just had a very big ass. And it's a dumb little throwaway bit, and I heard from the crowd, "Don't make fun of handicapped people."
Oh,
And I looked through the crowd, and there, sure enough, it was a guy with a trach machine. And I said, "Excuse me, what, sir?" He goes, "Don't make fun of handicapped people." And I said, "Well, no. I wasn't making fun of handicapped people. I just explained the joke, you know, it looked like the police marking." And he goes, "Well, I don't think it's funny." And I go, "Well, I do." There, now I'm making fun of handicapped people. See the difference? And he shut up. I think it's because his friends took his trach machine. Because I did hear some hissing.
Wow. Well, you've taken it also all the way to the North Pole.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yep, I've from Saudi Arabia to the North Pole. I was opening for the Red Hot Chili Peppers and the Violent Femmes on a place called Resolute Bay. Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
I've heard of it, yes.
It's the magnetic North Pole. It's
Right.
way up there. The Weather Channel doesn't cover it, you know.
Right.
They say Canada's cold, the rest of it's just screwed, you know. Back to you. It was 100 contest winners and 400 cases of Molson Ice beer.
Wow.
And I
That's
had
a
to
good
make
mix.
Yeah, I had to make them laugh. They're all looking at me like, "Hey, show your dick!" You know? So I did. And I never want to be that funny again. So. But, you know, the shrinkage and everything. But when the Chili Peppers performed, they let all the indigenous people come to the show. These are Iqaluit Indians.
Right.
And they came to the show. They had never even seen white people before.
Wow.
Now they're looking at the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Flea. Yeah.
Who the hell are these guys? You know, it's going to be a legend handed down from father to son.
Oh, yeah.
For hundreds of years, they'll be many, many years ago. The men with socks upon their penises came, and they were very loud.
Well, have you recounted many of your adventures in your book, which is called Roadkill, A Year on the Road with Rob Brackenridge?
Yes. It's basically what I did was I took a full year on the road, and I just took little capsules of it. And during that year, I did USO gigs, I did cruise ships, I did, colleges, casinos, everything. And I just packed it all in there. So it's actually a good book if you're starting out in stand-up, or even if you're just kind of curious about it. It just tells the trials and tribulations you go through. Mostly tribulations. Lots of trials.
Well, we're coming to that sad part where we need to close.
Before we close, we got a hello from Hope/Riska.
Hope Riska!
Hope Riska and Brenda.
Hey! A shout out to them.
Tuned in. Your peeps.
My peeps! Smoochanya!
Do you have any upcoming gigs or anything that you want to give a shout out to? First, give a shout out to your website.
www.robbrackenridge.com. And you can see my schedule on there, where I'll be performing. Next week I'm in Albuquerque at Catch a Rising Star with the wonderful Dom Irera.
Ah, cool.
And the week after that I'm in Vegas at the Excalibur, Catch a Rising Star. Yeah, the Wisconsin guy, for Christ's sakes. Over here in one of them big buildings, you know, where they got them fancy Sunday go-to-meeting clothes and stuff. Ain't it?
That's wonderful.
Erno. You have to say Erno after every sentence. You guys coming with or no? You fuckers have supper or no? And my one bit of advice, stay away from the Wisconsin Shakespeare Festival.
Oh.
That's just embarrassing.
Not good.
They're like, to be or no? Oh yeah, that's the question, for Christ's sakes. Yeah, forget about that iambic pentameter. These dates are crawling up my pooper.
Well, Rob, it's been fantastic.
Thanks, Alex. It's
Thank
fun.
you.
I had a good time.
Awesome. And are we ready?
Almost. Hold on one second.
We have one last joke.
Humor
to
me
tell
for
us.
a moment.
Tell us the last joke.
Oh, okay. 2 eggs are in a frying pan.
Okay.
One of them goes, boy, it's hot in here. And the other one goes, holy shit, a talking egg! You could even tell that at work.
Are you queued up now?
I'm almost there.
Okay, he'll tell us when. Another
All
joke.
right, I'm good.
Oh, he's
Good to
good.
go.
Oh, wait, we'll get into the last joke he would have said. Let's hear it.
Yeah,
What would have been?
Again?
No, another joke. A one-liner. Or
A one-liner? What lies at the bottom of the ocean and shakes?
What?
A nervous wreck. See, I've been doing little...
Oh.
I like jokes that you can tell a little kid or, you know.
Okay, we're good to go. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
And folks, it is November 18th, 2003, The Alex Duffy Show. Good night.